All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Please, if you're joining us, come on in and grab a seat. My name is Amy Bryn Miller. I'm the Executive Director of the Child Neurology Foundation, and I'm super pumped to be joined on today's stage with these fierce and committed colleagues to unveil Thrive, a manifesto of collaboration. And if we can have the slides pull up. Oh, it's my job to click it. There we go. Okay. Here we are. So about a year ago, we started to talk about some of the norms that we had been seeing within our shared advocacy community. We talked about it had become far too commonplace that advocates were competing instead of collaborating. We were saddened to share of all the times we would witness advocates get on social media and air their grievances about another advocate for the whole community to see. And of course, we talked about the continuation of the misperception that advocates have to compete for financial resources in order to succeed. It had become obvious to us that as a shared advocacy community, we have been valuing our parts instead of the sum. And we had forgotten that rising tides lift all boats. And simply, we're not down with that. That way of thinking may have had its time, but it is clearly not in today's advocacy community. The needs that our patients and their families face are more urgent than ever before, and frankly, competition cannot coexist with those needs. And so what we decided to do was to write a new list of rules, not to dictate, but to be very explicit on the ways that we and our organizations want to play and work together. It's called Thrive, and we want to share it with you tonight in the hopes that you would also join us in helping reframe the way that the advocacy community works together. So first up is T, and T means trust. So I'm going to trust that my colleague is operating from a place of good intention. And by doing so, I naturally then allow for some positive collaborative conversations to ensue instead of placing my colleague in a place of defensiveness. And I'm going to collaborate over compete. For those of you that know me, you probably get sick of hearing me say some of the same sayings over and over. The most common one is, that's a great idea, let's meet at the bar to discuss it a little bit more. That just happened, actually. But the second one is, I commonly say that to truly collaborate, you guard against an individual's agenda. And what I mean by that is, an individual may want glory. They may need to see their name in lights or on the front of a grant application. An individual may be concerned with large profit margins, but not a group of collaborators. Because if you're truly collaborating, you have to be operating out of a place of shared purpose. And there is no better, more fruitful purpose for us as an advocate than advancement of the needs of the patients we're so fortunate, very fortunate to represent. So T is for trust.
Amen. Hi. H is for honest communication, and I'm going to be honest and say that we all had a tequila shot really quickly over there because we're all a little nervous. So, communicate. Is this being live streamed? Communicate directly and transparently with your peers and your colleagues, especially. And this is tough sometimes because honest communication can be hurtful sometimes to the receiver. So I would also say, if you're on the receiving end, take that honest communication warmly and to heart, but not in a way that you feel is insulting or combative or something, because this is the only way that we can move things forward, is if we're honest with one another. Amy talked about collaborating without competition. We're relatively new to this space, and I was quite honestly quite shocked with some conversations that I had with other nonprofit advocates in the epilepsy space about whom to align with and which grant are you competing for. And wow, really? Because we've got kids living with half a brain in our community that don't have time for all of this. So make sure that you're always working for the outcome of the greater good.
So I'm Vanessa, and R is for respect. It's respect of your peers and your partners, respect for other organizations, their mission, their values, and their goals, respect and acknowledge other people's feelings and actions. So respect is powerful. It's so important and is key to the understanding. I come to patient advocacy from a very different realm than you. I'm not a patient. I'm not a patient parent. I come from science. But I came to this amazing organization, all these organizations, where I got a ton of respect from what I brought for knowledge and what I bring for my skills. And the other thing is I respect all of these ladies up here, as well as all the other organizations, what they bring to these, the advocacy side with their knowledge and their skills. And believe me, I use it, and I'm always willing to donate my time to anybody else's. There are a lot of first-timers here. And as I know, it can be really overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. It's so inspiring, but it's so overwhelming. And as time and your journeys progress, there's gonna be growth, there's gonna be successes, there's gonna be frustrations. And that can really lead to respecting of other people to go down. You can get caught in those little tiffs that Monica talked about, where you hear other people kind of downplaying and not respecting other organizations or other people. And we are up here saying, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna participate in those conversations, and we're gonna help to avoid those conversations and turn them in a different way and say, let's figure this out. Let's have respect for them and what they're doing. We don't know what's going on in their lives, and let's move past it, and we don't wanna inhibit growth. So respect is a concept we can all benefit from. Getting caught up in non-respectful communications is too easy these days. We are committing to not falling into this trap, and in fact, to guide others out of these interactions that are not based in respect. So R is for respect.
Hello, my name is Kendall Davis, and I stands for intentional. And being intentional is really reflecting before we react and intentionally being the best version of yourself at all times. So, you know, the rare disease space is fueled by passion and emotion, and that's what makes it so unique. But there can also be some challenges with that. So many times you respond to things very much from an emotional and a very personal place. But by being intentional and reflecting before we react to things, we let ourselves and the community, we set ourselves up for a more productive and collaborative interaction with each other, within our organizations, within our collective groups, within, cross-functionally, but we really set ourselves up for a lot more of a progressive conversation. And by being intentional and really striving to be the best versions of ourselves, we are able to acknowledge that this is a privilege to be a leader and to be able to work in this space and to work for all of the people who are impacted by rare disease. And being intentional also allows us to engage in keeping ourselves at a very high standard of business ethics and executing strategy within the advocacy space that makes sense and is going to make a really big difference. And it also allows us to contribute effectively while consistently holding ourselves to a level of kindness and to openness and collaboration that just sets us apart from a lot of other communities. So being intentional is reflecting before you react and really being the best version of yourself in every situation. So I is for intentional.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kari Rosbeck, and I have V. V being vulnerability, or being vulnerable to your peers. It's something we don't often do. How many of you actually say, I don't do that, or I don't do that well, but if you grab my hand, we can do it better together. It's so rare in our community and so needed. I had the great opportunity yesterday to participate in the Peer Support Boot Camp. And there was a room full of amazing advocates that let themselves be vulnerable to say, you know, I maybe can't do that well, and maybe you have those skills or you have those tools, but if we grab hands together, we can create an amazing collaborative. But it also takes us being vulnerable with each other. V, vulnerability. Join me in being vulnerable.
E, engage and empower. Woo! That's why we're all here. So, Advocate Without Borders. You know, we are a global community. We are global, and there's a responsibility there to be mindful
of the nuances and the details and the differences in regions around the world. So we need to move forward without borders. We need to think globally. And we need to ensure that when we're reaching out to our global friends and families, that we're doing so keeping in mind that there are unique differences and that we're open to figuring out how to make, some of the difficult choices or super cool collaborations successful by being mindful about some of the differences that happen globally. Empowerment over power. Amy said it at the very beginning. It's the famous JFK quote. The rising tide lifts all boats. When we empower others, we're seeing that here. We're seeing new leaders in rare disease emerge that are coming back here and sharing their experiences and their expertise, and they're paying it forward. And now we're creating this amazingly strong community of thousands of leaders that now can go out there and keep moving it forward. So really, really intentionally working with others, sharing experiences, sharing best practices, because we know that as a community, we can do better together. We can do more. We can be successful when we arm in arm help each other become more successful. The rising tide lifts all boats. And last, engage, embrace, and be drivers of change. That's kind of the theme here. It's kind of the theme from all of us, right? As we become educated, we become empowered. As we embrace this new responsibility, we can also do amazing things together. So let's be drivers of change, and let's really game change this whole world for rare disease. Let's do things differently. Let's thrive. E. Oh, whoops. Okay, so wait, what are we gonna do? Well, can we get music or something? So we are asking everyone here today, so some people we know have already gone online and committed themselves or their organizations to be part of this initiative. And like Amy said, it's really about us coming together to say, you know what? We deserve better and we can do better. And so what we're asking people to do is to come and commit to thriving and being part of this movement. Do you want to add anything? Ladies? Okay. You can do this in a couple ways. Right now, you can pull out your phone app and you can actually sign up within the Summit app. Sign up as an organization or as an individual. You can also go visit the Global Genes booth outside and sign on. You also, when you sign on, you get this handy dandy Thrive button to show everyone that you are committed to change. And within the bags that you receive, there's also a postcard that you can send to others. I think, Meredith, do you have extra information on that? Okay.
You can take those postcards back to your organizations so that you can share it with other members of your team and to decide if you want your organization to commit as well, hopefully. And then you can go onto the website, fill out the form, and upload your logo on your website. And we'll actually put it on the website and show that everyone who's committed to Thrive. Also on the website, thriveforrare.com, is a full document of the Thrive
Manifesto.
The manifesto.
Manifesto.
And so you can find that all on thriveforrare.org, which you can follow right through your app where it says Thrive.
Yay. Okay, so are we in? Do we want to thrive as a community? Yes? Okay, cue the music. Let's get this party going. We're almost done. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thrive.